And then I got another question. You know, people ask me all the time. Actually, I got in an argument the other day with a friend of mine. She asked me a question about Abraham. And, you know, I didn't answer it to her liking, or I really, you know, she's like, well, what is Abraham? Where does Abraham come from? Blah, blah, blah. I didn't really want to answer it because I don't need to answer it because I know and I don't care. You know what I'm saying? But she wanted to have an argument about it because, you know, I kind of mess around with her a little bit about her Catholicism. So I just, you know, I mess with her a little bit because, you know, she's talking about how she's religious and all this stuff, but then, you know what I mean? I'm just messing with her, okay? It's coming from the heart. But for her, she's really trying to stick it to me, you know, of why. And so we got an argument about it the other day. So I'm just asking you, what's the best way to explain what I'm doing here? What, you know, like what, you know what I mean? Seriously, what would I say? I'd say, well, who's Abraham? Where does it come from? I say, it's just a source being. It's just the inner being. A woman's able to channel it, and you're able to speak with her and have your fun and da-da-da-da-da.
I'm going to come back to how if we were standing in your physical shoes, we would explain this process.
Okay.
But before we do, we want to address the other subject first because it's really more important and a lot of fun to hear too.
Okay.
We were visiting with a woman the other day who is a singer and songwriter, really very good. And she was talking about, as you are, how to match her goals more efficiently, to get where she wants to go faster, how to feel better along the way, how to set aside her fears and the trepidation that so often comes over her when she really gets focused upon her desire. It seems that her fears come up proportionately. And she was talking about how she has reached an age where her agent will say to her, well, you know, you're not exactly the age that people are getting started. In other words, you're getting pretty far up there in years. And she says, so what do you do with something like that? What do you do when someone hits you with something that stings and hurts like that? And we said, here's the most important thing for you to hear. The reason that this agent is doing that to you is because you are wanting success that you don't feel that you're getting, and you're sort of laying it at his door. Your attitude to him is, why aren't you getting me a record contract? Why aren't you getting me better opportunity to sing? And in his defensiveness, he's coming back at you with that. We said, if you wouldn't do that, he wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
And that's what we're wanting to say to you. If you wouldn't do that, she wouldn't do that. In other words, you're messing with her, she's messing right back. In other words, you said, no, I was light and easy. I'm just toying with her, and she jabbed back at me really, really hard. And we say, well, you know, when you make someone defensive, don't be surprised when they defend themselves. And then when you make someone defensive and they defend themselves, and then you defend yourself, and then before long you've got the Middle East. In other words, it's not anything that is different from that. So what we would say to anyone is, first of all, I'm understanding that there are many roads that lead to fulfillment and well-being. And anybody that's on any path that's working for them, I am for it. If someone is living a joyful life experience and they are tapped in and flowing source energy and feeling good in the moment, people are not running around trying to tell them how to make their life better. What causes you to want to tell her how to make her life better is she's complaining about how her life is going. In other words, she's unhappy with this or with that. And you, as a born teacher, take that as a request for information. That's part of it. And so Esther has noticed that the other day, she was in a mode that was less than connected, and she was sort of complaining about something. And as Jerry began offering solutions, his solutions felt antagonistic to her. And then, in light of what we've been talking about here today, she stopped and thought, but if I hadn't said that, he wouldn't have said that. Which made her realize that she has total control of every relationship that she has. As you become aware that people are responding to you, just as you are responding to them, and then one of you, and it will be you, stops and says, wait a minute, I can control what I put out, therefore I can control what I get back. And we're not just talking about no longer messing with her, we're talking about thinking the best thoughts about her. We promise you that when you line up your energy so that you are in your virtual reality practicing the very best feeling thoughts about her, you will evoke only the very best feeling words from her. And any of you who are getting anything from anybody that is not to your liking, it is your doing, no exception.
Okay.
No exception. We know it's easier to make it their doing to a point. But then after a while, you feel out of control in your life. Oh, they're doing this, and they're doing this, and they're doing this, and they're doing this. And you can't control what they do. You can control what you do. And with far less practice than you think. Oh, the way relationships begin to evolve. And so what we would do, the way we would approach or try to explain from your connected state of being, first of all, that's the rule of thumb. Tell her everything that you can tell her that she's willing to listen to as long as you're tuned in, tapped in, turned on. Okay. And if you're not, don't open your mouth.
Okay.
And when you are tuned in, tapped in, turned on, the kinds of things that come out of you are things like, everybody has their own special path, and there are a lot of different ways. I believe that there are so many ways that lead to enlightenment and fulfillment, and this is just something that at least for now is feeling pretty good to me. I don't have any big stake in it. I'm not trying to convince others. There's no movement or no following. This is just something that is feeling good to me, and just leave it light like that.
Okay.
And if they're wanting more, they will ask more in specifics. Nothing is more uncomfortable to someone than to have somebody answer a question that they haven't asked. When Esther's driving and she doesn't know the way, and she will say, which way should I go? And Jerry offers it. Oh, it is sweet music to her ears. But when he tells her where to go and she hasn't asked, it's sort of like, I knew that. Did you think I didn't know that? And his problem is he doesn't know if she knows. In other words, he's just trying to avoid another U-turn in the big rig. You all find your way. In other words, when you get into this place of feeling good, then you have this dance with people that is life-giving.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And that you practice in your virtual reality. Okay. So in this situation, if this is a person who is important to you, not really.
It's too, okay, oh man, it's because the last time that we met, you talked about the girlfriend situation, you said, you'll meet that along the way. Don't worry about that now. Your focus is on baseball, and that's where it should be, and that's good. And am I wrong or right about saying this? If I get my connection off anyway about a girl going to a movie, anything like that, does it affect baseball?
Here's the thing. You could find alignment relative to other subjects like relationship that could absolutely enhance your experience with baseball, because tuned in, tapped in, turned on is tuned in, in other words, however you get there is however you get there. There are a lot of people that fall in love, and in that state of being in love, everything in their life gets better. And so we do not see connection through relationship as a distraction. Okay. The reason that we were encouraging you to just focus upon your baseball for a while is because your worry about a relationship was far more distorted than your worry about baseball.
Yeah.
And there was one other factor, and that is, as you are thinking about this perfect baseball experience, you're thinking of being footloose. You have to be free to go wherever they want to go. The field needs to be wide open. You need to be ready to be recruited to any team that goes to any city.
Yeah.
And if you have a relationship, if you are feeling that you are wanting to be in this city, then you could feel angst about your feeling of being ready to go. And so what we were saying to you is, let the one come first, and the other will come right into place right on the heels of it, because the perfect relationship is waiting for you in every city.
Well, that's a problem. Because we broke up. Because man, I'm just trying to do everything that you say, and that maybe I shouldn't be. That's another question I had.
We think you should go with her to the Catholic Church.
No. You really think so? Do you think am I taking your view too much, too literal, too word for wordy? You know what I mean? I should just go with what I feel. If I feel good about it, fine. Even though Abraham said, hey, maybe you should relax on the relationship. But if it feels good at the time, do it anyways.
We want you to reach the place where you say, Abraham, I don't give a rip what you think.
Okay.
I'm so clear about what I am wanting, and this feels so in harmony with what I'm wanting that I'm going this way. Okay. The only thing that we have to offer you is a stimulation of your own guidance system. We don't want to guide you. We want to guide you to your own guidance.
Gotcha.
And we think you're doing very well. We think that what has happened to you is that you've got yourself, relative to 2 or 3 subjects, in the place of really heightened desire.
Yeah.
And you are, like most humans, you are so aware of what is that you won't let yourself really go with your desire. And that's why we talk on and on. In other words, you're not the only one. We've been saying the same thing through this mouth for 15 years. In other words, as Esther listens back to the old recording, she'll say, oh, I think I'll listen to this old recording, and she'll come in announcing to Jerry, everything's on it. Everything everything's on this recording. In other words, I thought that there was new stuff being offered all along. There isn't any new stuff. In other words, you are a fabulous being. You are pure positive energy. You deserve everything that you could ever want. Your source energy is aware of you, is flowing through you. You've picked up things along your physical trail that have muted some of that. Every process that we offer is to help you dim or to get rid of that stuff that you've muted so that your light can shine in the way that is you, so that you can live happily ever after relative to anything that is important to you. In other words, that's the message. You're good, we're good, everything's good, be happy.
Okay. I just got like 2 more quick ones, and then that's it. The first one is a yes or no if you feel that's what it needs. Do you feel my desire? You know, like you were saying, Esther sometimes will ask you, Abraham, how am I lined up on this one? Do you feel that my desires lined up the same way about baseball as it was the last time we met? Are you
more
stronger?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay.
Your focus is even stronger. The reason that you're not so sure of it is because you're beginning to come into alignment.
Okay.
So the angst is going away.
Well, that's good.
Feeling of calm is beginning to... You hear the analogy, if you're in an airplane going 500 miles an hour and you look out the window, it looks pretty calm. Put the same plane on the ground, it doesn't feel so calm at 500 miles an hour. And so what's happening to you as you raise into vibrational harmony with your energy, then the angst is not so. And yet, as we were visiting here today and we got you into that place of strong focus together, as you focused upon what you want, it amplified it a little more. But that's the whole point of the virtual reality, is to just play with it. We want you to get to the place where you can imagine anything relative to the baseball, relative to the experience, the pitching experience, and feel wonderful while you are doing it. And when you are able to achieve that on a consistent basis in your virtual reality, it shifts. It's just like that teeter-totter. It's like this for a while, like this for a while, like this for a while, tipping this for, and then all of a sudden, in one more 15-minute setting, it tips the other way. And then everything is so much easier.
Good.
Things line up. Somebody will say to you at one of these camps, you'll get a position, a door will open, you'll get more practice, you'll get more opportunity with those that really evoke it from you. Do you know why the pitchers that pitch in the major leagues do so much better on the whole than the others? Well, it is mental, but the game expects it from them. In other words, the people in the stands expect it. The guy at the plate expects it. In other words, they just expect it. And so that's why the easier it gets, the easier it gets, the easier it gets. Esther will tell you that when she stands before a group of deliberate creators like you all are, the ease with which this information flows is unspeakable. In other words, the power of it is huge. But if Esther were to sit with Abraham and visit with one person who had a very limp question, not very focused, they're not really all that interested in it either. Esther can feel that what pours through her is proportionate to what is being summoned. So the game literally summons from you. And so in your virtual reality, go to the major leagues. In other words, go there where the best of them, and you can even pick dead ones. You can pitch for the best batters that have ever been. You get a sense, go to the major leagues and let them solicit from you the best. They will. They're all ready to help you. In other words, there may not be a subject more focused in the heavens than that. We're not kidding you about that. In other words, it's a powerful, powerful, powerful energy. When you get focused, you'll get a lot of help from source energy. Just let it be pulled through you. Now, we felt a little breakthrough happen just there with you. And here's what it is. You're letting it come through you. You're not trying to assert it on your own. You're not trying to stand there and say, let's see what I can give you. What you're doing is you're saying, you're standing there and you're letting all that is pull through you. 100 miles an hour, simple.
Keep pulling it, keep pulling it.
Yes. What team do you choose? You can have it any way you want. What team do you choose?
I'd go to the Brooklyn Dodgers.
Why?
Because first of all, I bleed Dodger blue, but I don't like the new owners. So I'm gonna go back to where it all started. I want to go to the days of the old school when they were out there just giving, they didn't have mechanics and all. They were just putting it on the line, and what I had is what I had. And if you take it or leave it, and I'll either whoop your ass or I'll get whooped, but at least I'm gonna give it my best.
All right, so you get to do that. You get to conjure that team, make that your team, go there with that attitude, find your vibrational harmony with it, take pleasure in that vision, and watch what happens to baseball in response to your vibration.
Awesome. I wish I didn't have to leave the chair. But, I got to let other people talk too, so I guess I got to go.
We're all appreciating it very much.
Thank you.